Welcome to Finding Fuscata. I'm Sean. Today I'm going over my 6-step process for manifestation. This is something that I learned through studying Neville Goddard, a bunch of other teachers and coaches, and principles I pulled from the Bible and other documents like that. It's a 6-step process that I use every single time, and it works every single time, so I want to share it with you. There's a simple acronym I use called VERSA. That's VERSSA, VERSA. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, now remember, the acronym is VERSA, VERSSA. And if you stay all the way to the end, there's a last 7th step that I'll show you, which is very important and locks the whole thing together. The first step is V, which is for visualization. Here's what you do. Close your eyes and vividly imagine the desired outcome as if it has already happened. Use all your senses to create a detailed mental picture. And here's why it works. Visualization helps to impress the subconscious mind with the reality of your desire, making it more likely to manifest in your physical world. Step 2 is embodying emotions. Here's what you do. Feel the emotions associated with your desired outcome. Imagine how you would feel if your desire were already fulfilled. And here's why it works. Emotions are powerful drivers of manifestation. By embodying the feeling of your desired outcome, you align your energy with that reality. Step 3 is repetition and affirmation. Here's what you do. Repeat affirmations that align with your desired outcome. For example, if you want to manifest a new job, you might say, I am grateful for my new fulfilling and rewarding job. And here's why it works. Repetition helps to reinforce the belief in your subconscious mind, making it a dominant thought pattern. Number 4 is another acronym, which is SATS. State akin to sleep, SATS. And here's what you do. Enter a deeply relaxed state, similar to the state just before falling asleep. In this state, repeat your visualization and affirmations. And here's why it works. The SATS technique allows you to bypass the critical mind and directly impress the subconscious with your desired reality. Step 5 is silence. And here's what you do. Keep your manifestation process private. Avoid sharing your intentions and progress with others. And here's why it works. Maintaining silence helps to protect your energy and focus, preventing external influences from affecting your manifestation process. And step 6 is assume it is already done with gratitude. Here's what you do. Live as if your desire has already been fulfilled. Express gratitude for the manifestation as if it has already occurred. And here's why it works. Gratitude reinforces the belief that your desire is already a reality, aligning your subconscious mind with the outcome you seek. I hope you found that helpful. Remember, the 6-step process is VERSSA, VERSA, and it works great. It works wonderful every time. And if you want to really lock it in, and if you want to speed up the process, there's a 7th step, a last step. And I saved this until the end for a reason. Because not everybody's going to understand this. Not everybody's going to want to apply it. Not everybody's going to approve of it. But this is super, super critical. So if you've watched it all the way up until this point, then I'm giving you the 7th step, which will lock the whole thing in. And it's another S, which is the Sabbath. So we get this concept from the creation myth in the Bible, where it talks how God took 6 days to create all the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested. And the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, many religions take that principle of taking 1 out of 7 days as a day of rest. And there have been many studies over the years of how people who take a day of rest, A lot of people in the Christian and Jewish faiths, they call it a Sabbath or a Shabbat, I think. But you call it that Sabbath day. And what that does is it allows a period of rest. Because think about it, if you're working in your garden and you're tilling up the soil and you get everything ready and you plant all your seeds and all your seedlings and you put everything in the ground, now it's time to just stop. It's time to rest and let the process go. So what I do is I take those first 6 and I will do them depending on what it is I'm trying to manifest. If it's a parking spot, maybe you do it for 6 seconds and then you stop. Or if it's a child, maybe you do it for 6 years and then you stop. It just depends on what the thing is and how long it takes for something like that to manifest. Like it takes a lot longer to manifest a house or a child or a car or a lottery win than it does to manifest a parking space or, an extra packet of sugar for your coffee, right? So you have to consider like what the thing is and how long the natural process is going to take. Because there's no shortcut. Like if you are single right now, you don't have any prospects for a partner, particularly a partner who's interested in having a child with you. Like you've got nobody on the horizon, but you really, really want a child. You're going to have to give it time. Because you're going to have to meet somebody and get to know somebody and make sure it's a good fit and make sure that you guys match. And then, then the pregnancy comes and that takes at least 9 months, right? So from like right now today, if you really, really want a child and you started this process today, you'd have to give yourself minimum of 6 months of doing this work daily and then resting before you can expect anything to manifest down the road. Okay? So here's what you do. You do this process and you decide what it is that you want. Decide how long it will probably take. An estimate based on, how your basic understanding of physics, right? And how reality works. And you do this Versa process for 6 seconds, 6 minutes, 6 hours, 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. Whatever iteration of 6s that you need. Like if you're thinking about, like the future of the nation, if you're thinking about the future of your family, if you're thinking about things that are going to happen for generations after you're gone, then maybe it takes 60 years of like every single day of doing this every single day. Repetition, 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 repetition. Okay? But when you get to the end of that 6th, the end of the 6th second, the 6th minute, hour, day, month, year, week, decade, whatever that time period is, as soon as you go into that 7th, you stop. You're done. You don't bring it up again. Ever. It doesn't come up. You don't think about it. You practice radical detachment. I wrote something earlier today talking about the process of radical detachment, and I used 2 examples. One was of Christ on the cross, and part of what that symbolizes to us is the Christ's willingness to lay down his ego to the point where he was willing to lay aside his own physical body, his physical comfort, his physical lack of pain for the greater good. There's complete detachment from ego. I also used the example of Lord Krishna when he spoke to Arjuna and told Arjuna that his duty was to be a warrior regardless of the outcome. And something they say in the Hindu faith, hopefully I don't get this too wrong, is that we have a duty to act, but we have no rights to the outcomes of those actions. We may benefit from them, but we don't necessarily have a right to the outcome of those actions. Because there's a very real sense in which nobody's promised tomorrow. Nobody promised you the next 10 minutes. Nobody promised you your next breath. Nobody promised you your next heartbeat. Is it likely going to come? Sure, because they keep coming and, life keeps going on. But it's not promised to you. So the work that you do right now, the results of that are not promised to you. And so this is why it says in the book of James, and this is something that they teach in Islam, is that it's a sin to say, next year we're going to go to thus and such a city, and next year we're going to bring these things, and we're going to sell this, we're going to do this business. In the book of James, in the Bible, it says that that's a sin. Because you don't know, you have no control over that. You're assuming something that's not there for you to assume. And in Islam, I used to hear this all the time. If you ask somebody who's Muslim, particularly a devout Muslim, if they'll do something for you in a couple of days, they'll say, Inshallah, which means if Allah wills it, because they're very, very dedicated to that idea. So I would have meetings with guys, and in the West, I'm like, all right, we're going to have a meeting at 10 o'clock, and then the next day on, the 15th, we're going to have another meeting at 1300 hours, and then that's going to go until, 1345, and blah, blah, blah. And then, we get regimented in our times. And I go and talk to somebody who's an Iraqi engineer or farmer or, construction worker or contracting person, whatever it is, and they listen to me as a Westerner with all of my times and dates and, more chronological stuff that I want to do. And every time they'll say, yeah, okay, the 15th at 1300, Inshallah. And it used to drive me crazy because I'm like, no, I will it. You will it. You be there. And they're like, that's cute. Inshallah. Because they understand, and we should all understand, nobody promised you your next breath. Nobody promised you your next heartbeat. Nobody promised you tomorrow. So you are not entitled to the fruits of your labor in that sense. Now, I'm a capitalist, and as long as the economy keeps going, and as long as my human body keeps going, and as long as society keeps going, if I put work in, I'm going to expect to be reimbursed for that. I'm expecting to receive the fruits of that. Right? And there's legal obligations. I have legal agreements between myself and my employer that if I give you these many hours and I do work to this quality standard, that you're going to reimburse me with X amount of dollars. It's a contract agreement that we have. But that's a very different thing than how you interact with the universe. The universe, God, cosmos, Yahweh, the all, have no concern about your contracts with your employer. God's not your employer. The universe is not your employer. It's just not. And every heartbeat that you have, every breath that you have is a blessing. Every single one. You're like, oh, I'm still here. Oh, the system's still working. Great. And you have to have that level of detachment from the outcomes. So you do your work. You do the work for 6 seconds, days, weeks, months, years, decades. And then you stop. And you expect and you assume that it's done. You just know that it's done. You just know in your heart, with a willingness that it's done, and a thankfulness that it's out there. And then you just go about your business. And you train yourself to forget about it. You train yourself to not think about it. If it comes up, you put it out of your mind. You say, no, none of my business. No, not my business. Yeah, but I really want that car. It's not my business. Yeah, but I really want to find that special person. Not my business. But I really, really want a baby. None of my business. It's none of my business. It's none of my business what the cosmos does, how the cosmos is going to reward me. My job, my business, is to see the things that come to me and act through love, and act through wisdom, and act through discernment with compassion, with kind compassion in all that I do. That's my job. That's my only job here. I ask for the things that I want. I set the intentions. I visualize. I put it out there. And I'm done. And that's it. So I hope this helps. I hope that clarifies some things. The first 6 steps are easy. You can do those. Like, you can literally do those in your sleep. Literally. You know, you visualize, you feel it. You're like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. I'm so excited. It's going to be cool. You know, you think about it as you're going to sleep. You think about it when you first wake up in the morning. You write it down, you read it before you go to sleep, and then you read it when you wake up in the morning, and you do that kind of stuff. But you have to respect the Sabbath. The Sabbath is there for a reason. There's a reason why countries thrive and people thrive. And when they take that time, they take their Shabbat, they take their Sabbath, they take, I forget what the Muslims call it, but countries and people who thrive take at least one day a week where they're just like, I'm just going to rest. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to stare at the wall. I'm going to, nope, not do it. And that gives your mind, it gives the universe, it gives your spiritual garden in which you've planted the seeds. It gives the seeds themselves time to grow and time to pull in and time to do all this kind of work. So remember, if you plant a seed, you can't speed up the growing process by pulling on it. When you plant a seed, you have to leave it alone. And remember, in our tradition, in our way of thinking, we think of the Sabbath as being like one day a week. So you may be asking, well, wait a minute, if I want something really big, why wouldn't I like go for, 6 days, weeks, months, whatever, and then stop for 1 month and then do it again, right? But you have to go back and think about how a garden works. You do all this work in a garden. You plant all your seeds, you prep the ground, you do everything, and then you walk away. So this is what Jesus meant in the Bible when he says, like, the Sabbath was made for man. Man wasn't made for the Sabbath. We recognize the Sabbath because it reminds us every week to do this work and then stop. Do your work and then stop. Do your work and then stop. And but you're manifesting things over and over and over and over again in your life. But if you want a specific thing, you do the work and then you just stop completely. You don't do it again. It's not an ongoing process like, how you go to church and all that kind of stuff. You just stop. And if it doesn't come, then it doesn't come. If it comes, then great. But you have to be ready too, because you have to accept whatever's going to come your way. So think about this. My wife and I had a rocky period in our marriage, and we weren't talking to each other. We were, we'd go for like days and barely make eye contact. We were basically just like roommates, who shared a bed and didn't talk, nothing. And it was breaking my heart. It was slowly breaking my heart. And then I felt like I could just see my marriage, crumbling right in front of me. So what I started doing was every night, as I lay in bed, I would visualize us being close and having a deep friendship and talking again and healing our marriage and holding each other and having that kind of intimacy between a husband and wife and just having that peace between us. And every single night I visualized that. And every single morning I visualized that. And I did this for 6 months. 6 months. Using this process. And at the end of it, I stopped. I go to bed at night and I would just, read a book, I'd do whatever, keep my mind off of it. I'm not thinking about it. Well, without getting into too much detail, we hit an even rockier part in our marriage that completely shattered the foundations of our marriage. We were faced with just a series of things that just hit us boom, 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 one after another. And it completely rattled us. And it got us to the point where we both kind of sat back and said, what is happening here? What is going on? But in that moment, when we recognized that the foundation of our marriage had been just like washed away, we started to realize that the foundation, since it had been washed away, wasn't a good foundation anyway. And we needed to rebuild that foundation. And we did, little by slowly, block by block, piece by piece. And we were like, okay, is this a thing that we want in our marriage? Is this a method of communication? Is this, a time that we want to spend together? Is this the level of intimacy that we want to have? Is this, like, how often are we going to communicate? How much are we going to assume that there's always going to be truth and companionship and loyalty? Like, what's happening here? And little by slowly, block by block, we rebuilt the foundation of our marriage. And now, we might go for a few days and not talk. We might go for a few days and not make eye contact, but it's not because somebody's angry or somebody's, frustrated. It's just because we're both kind of busy and doing our own thing. But in the middle of that, there'll be those moments where you make eye contact and you're like, you're awesome. I really love you. And then you have those moments where you're like, you're still kind of hot, and you like, and it just works. And there's this peace that comes with it. And the peace that I'm feeling now in my marriage is the peace that I visualized for 6 months. But it didn't just like show up all happy. The universe is going to look at you. God's going to look at you and say, all right, you're asking for this, but hang on, buddy. This is going to suck. But I love you. And I want to give you the thing that you asked for, but you're not ready for it. But you asked for it. So guess what? Let's get down and get dirty. It's like if you see that your dog's got fleas, but your dog doesn't like taking baths. Sorry, buddy. You have to go in the bathtub. And sometimes you just got to take your dog and put it in the bathtub and scrub it down and get all the fleas off and get all the dirt off and get it all clean. So that it can stop itching, so that it can be healthy, so that it can be, a part of the family again. So you don't have to be afraid of it, getting on the couch or, being close to the children or whatever it is. You may do this manifestation work, but just know that you may be a dog with fleas. You may have a bad foundation of your marriage. You may have some fundamental flaws in your character and your personality that are keeping you from finding that specific person that you've idealized. And you're going to have some healing to do. You're going to have to unpack that stuff. You're going to have to find those wounds and work on them. Because the universe can't bring in the perfect person for you unless you've done the work. Like in my case, I was so focused on manifesting my wife that I ignored this process and I just insisted. And the universe said, okay, you really want this. All right. You're not ready, buddy, but all right, I'll give it to you. Here you go. And my wife came along. And physically, there's so many things about her that are perfect, exactly what I wanted. But for the first 8 or 10 years of our marriage, it was challenges and it was frustrations, and it was really, really hard because neither of us had done the work. I hadn't done the work. I can't say anything about her because I have to take radical accountability for my own life, but like I had not done the healing work. So the answer from the cosmos was, all right, you insist, buddy, then here you go. Here's this one. She's exactly everything that you want. and then some, because, once you guys go through all this, you guys are going to have that perfect match and you're going to have that relationship that you want. But you're going to have to go through it. You're going to have to go do the work. Now, if I had taken time ahead of time and realized that, when I did this manifestation work, if I had just said, okay, I'm going to trust the process and just waited, then I could have gone through my own healing. I could have gone through my own learning. I could have, worked through some of these challenges and changes. And then when I was ready, maybe it would have been Kelly. Maybe it would have been somebody else. I have no idea. That's none of my business. Because remember, I'm not entitled to the outcome. I'm not entitled to the fruits of my labor. Because I'm not entitled to my next breath. I'm not entitled to my next heartbeat. But somebody would have come along, and maybe it would have been Kelly, and she would have gone through her own healing, and by the time we came together, we would have both been healed, and we could have skipped all that nastiness in the middle, and we could have just had this beautiful flourishing marriage right from day one. But I insisted. I fought it. I'm like, no, I want this to be mine, my way. And the universe will do that for you. But it's like that trope, if you find that genie in a bottle and you get your 3 wishes, there are caveats. It doesn't come without attachments. So you choose. You choose which way you want to do. Either way works. Do the 6 months, 6 days, do the Versa process. And then, hang on to it and insist on it and be like, no, this is mine. I am owed this. This is mine. And it'll come to you, but it may not be the perfect thing. But if you take that Sabbath time, you take that seventh step, the last S, and you turn it over and you release it and you trust the process and you understand that anything that you're going through, anything that is happening to you, which things don't really happen to you, but anything that you are going through. In fact, I want to clarify that. You have to change your thinking on things happening to you. Okay? You need to get that out of your head. Everything happens for you. Everything in your life is happening for you. It's for you to learn a lesson. It's for you to heal. It's for you to unpack. It's for you to evolve. It's for you to lower the entropy in your life. So everything that happens, everything that you're going through is either a blessing or a blessing in disguise. And it's bringing you closer to the thing that you asked for. And more than likely, if you can be patient, if you can be detached from the outcome, the way that Christ was detached from his ego, from his body, from all of that. The way that Arjuna was detached from, the fact that it was family that he was battling against. He was going to kill people that he knew. But he had to be detached from that. And maybe that's some of the battles you have to face. I don't know. But if you go into it with that attitude, the attitude of detachment, just do the thing that's in front of you. Do it with love. Do it with integrity. Do it with the mindset of having the best intentions and outcomes for everybody involved. Get as many wins as you possibly can in every single situation. Live your life that way. And things start flowing in. I mean, it's the law. It can't not go that way. That's the law of the cosmos. That is what the Kabbalion is all about. That's what the Bible is all about. That's what the Quran is all about. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. That's what the Torah is all about. That, every single holy book, every single holy text, every single teaching is about that. Anyway, I went on for 28 minutes. That's quite a rant. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope this finds you well. And let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know in the discussions what you think. Do you have anything better? Is there something that I'm missing? Is there, did I get something wrong? Do you have a better way? Is there another point that I missed? I don't know. You tell me. I would love to hear from you. So let me know in the comments. And if you like this kind of stuff, if you like this kind of content, please do go and consider joining us over on skool.com. That's skool.com/finding-fuscata. I was charging $1 for it, but I figured that's kind of silly. So it's a totally free community, and I've got growing resources in there. I'm going to have more videos coming on a regular basis that I will have only available in skool.com. I've got my coaching program, my training program that is developing over there. I have members that are growing who are coaches and mentors and spiritual guides and hypnotherapists and just generally awesome people. And there's great conversations. So if you are interested in that, please do consider joining us on skool.com. And that is it. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye. Playing me out today, we've got Aurora on the Boulevard by National Sweetheart. It's kind of got that Portlandia vibe. Remember that show from back in the day? Good stuff. I hope you have a great rest of the whatever it is that you're having. I'll talk to you soon.